Hey Orchidstas, welcome to the channel Forever Orchids. My name is Tracy and I'm so glad you joined me today. I want to share with you an update. I did a video about a month ago, an orchid unboxing with a surprise. The surprise was that the orchids were in bud. So I wanted to share with you what the blooms looked like. And also, in that month's time, those flowers, those plants with the blooms on them, have gone to 2 different Orchid Society shows. And the first one here bloomed, and this was the one that was in the video that had those really dark buds on them. If you don't remember those, when this video is over with, in the description or at the end, I'll put a link at the end of this video so that you can go back and watch that and you can see those buds. So unfortunately, it went to the show and it was in flower. And when it was returned to me, it was no longer in flower. All of the flowers had collapsed. And that happens, and it's okay. New seedlings, sometimes their flowers don't last, but then also in travel, and you go long distances to a show, and they're sitting there, and these flowers are just vibrating, and they're bouncing up and down, and they're bouncing up and down. And then they get in a different environment for several days for a show. They might get knocked, they might get hit, somehow probably knocked the pollen loose, and if the pollen is loose or falls out, the flower is going to collapse. Just the name of the game. It happens, and it's okay. But I got a picture of it at least, so I'm going to show you what this one looks like here. And this particular flower, it won a second place, and it won a second place in an orchid class. Now, at judging, ribbon judging particularly, they have, I'm getting over a cold, so excuse me if I sound a little funny and I get a little choked up a little bit. Okay, so there will be a show schedule with all of the different classes that the orchids are put into for the judges to judge. Okay, so this plant was entered into 2 separate classes. I made sure that I let them know this was a first bloom seedling, so I wanted it in the first bloom seedling class. And it was also then put in class 19, which is Cattleya and Guaranthe hybrids and intergenerics other than whatever's been listed above. And they're broken down by color and they're broken down by size of flower. So this one was entered in the lavender, mauve, pink, purple, small flower category of 4 inches or less. So the flowers on this one, when it bloomed, because it's a seedling, they're going to be smaller flowers. It was in the class of 4 inches or less, and in the color lavender, mauve, pink, purple, because it was primarily pink, as you saw in the picture. And it happened to win a second place ribbon. So I got a little ribbon to come home for that. So that was very nice. And it did not win in fragrance. Okay, now the second show that my second Hygrometers Appleblossom, now called Jackfowlieara Appleblossom. I'm so sorry, I should have told you that at the beginning of this video, what these are. This one opened up, and look at this flower here. It opened up more of a white cream color with a lovely little, not splash petal, almost kind of like a semi-alba, kind of. But what's interesting here, I'm going to take the plant out here. All right, let's see if we can get the camera to focus here on those blooms so you can see those. Hopefully it will for you. What's interesting is the back of the sepals here, the dorsal especially, it has like some little pink. I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but it has a little bit of pink coloration in it. But this would be primarily in the whites. So this was entered into, I have to look the class up here, class 21, which is white and semi-alba, small flowered, 4 inches or less. So it won second place in the show for the Cattleya and Guaranthe hybrids and intergenerics. in the white and semi-alba under 4 inches or less. And it was also entered into the first bloom seedling class. And I didn't know this, but it was also entered into the fragrance class. And the fragrance class is 113. Let me get the schedule out here and read to you what that is. All right. 113. And actually 113, it says 0.2. And I'll tell you what that means. Okay, so that is, judges are encouraged to nominate plants for consideration even if they've not been entered by the exhibitor. Flowers must exhibit their fragrance at the time of judging and in the conditions of the show. Fragrance does not imply that it must be pleasing to be entered, nominated, or awarded. So this was in 113.2, the fragrance. So this got entered and it won second place. And the terrible, terrible thing about that is I'm recovering from a cold. So it won second place for fragrance, and I can't smell it. Isn't that just the name of the game? I mean, seriously, I can't smell it. Now, obviously on Friday, the day of judging always happens the morning prior to when the show will open. It must have been just putting out a phenomenal fragrance because it won second place. Now, if you will give me just a second, I actually have the plant that won first place in the class for fragrance. And it ended up also winning the best of class. It won, of all the plants that were entered for fragrance, this particular plant won what they call the trophy award. Now, I know maybe this is a little confusing to some people, but I will do a video later explaining more about the judging process. I entered as a clerk. I helped out the judges by placing ribbons, writing on the back, placing ribbons, going around, finding plants if need be for them. So that's the first time I've ever done that, and I will be glad to share that with you on more about the ribbing judging that happened. So I am going to be right back just a second, and for you, it will just be a blink of an eye, and I'll be back with the plant that won over my Awanagar, my Jackfowlieara Appleblossom. Okay, kind of hidden by this plant here. This is a very, very large, this is a species, this is Encyclia cordigera, and this is the variety Roseum for the rose, the dark purple here. And I'll get you guys a close-up of this, but this won first place in fragrance. My Appleblossom won second place. And this plant also won the trophy for best of class fragrance. And the reason why I have this plant is one of the places that I volunteer at, this was in bloom. The Orchid Society was really concerned that they weren't going to have enough members to bring in plants for their display. So because the place I volunteer at is renovating their conservatory and greenhouse that would normally be open to the public can't view these in bloom, so they let me borrow quite a few of their plants. And I'll do a video of that. I can't help myself getting all the sheets off. Bugs love to hide down in there. I can't help myself. Just can't help myself. But this plant is very well grown. These pseudobulbs are just nice, fat, and plump. It is growing in a plastic pot, and we can talk about that later. It's going to need to be divided. But this is what won Best Fragrance and won it won the trophy award. So I just wanted to quickly show you that, and this whole plant will be in a different video that we can talk about along with all the other plants that I took to the show and we can talk about those individually. That is a quick update on the orchid unboxing with a surprise video that was about a month ago. So I just wanted to show you those blooms. And until next time, guys, happy orchid growing. Bye.